The Tic Tac. On November 14, 2004, the USS Nimitz carrier group was conducting a routine training exercise off the coast of Southern California when their radar started picking up anomalous targets. These were not just blips. The objects had been appearing on the system for 2 weeks now, dropping from 80,000 feet to sea level in less than a second. For context, the fastest military jets on Earth would need about a minute to do that. And the pilot would be paced. Commander David Fravor and his wingman, Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich, were sent to investigate. What they found was a white, oblong object roughly the size of a fighter jet, hovering about 50 feet above the ocean. Fravor described it as a tic-tac. It was smooth, had no wings, no routers, no visible means of propulsion. The ocean beneath it was churning, as if something massive was just below the surface. Fravor descended to get a closer look, and the object mirrored his movements. When he went down, it came up. When he tried to close the distance, it accelerated so fast it disappeared from visual sight in under 2 seconds. It then reappeared 60 miles away on radar, a distance that would have required it to travel at speeds the human body physically cannot survive inside any known aircraft. A second jet, equipped with infrared cameras, managed to lock onto the object and capture the now famous footage that the Pentagon officially released in 2020. The Department of Defense confirmed the video as authentic and classified the encounter as unidentified. Not probably a weather balloon, not likely a drone, unidentified. As in, we generally do not know what this is. Fravor has maintained his account consistency for over 20 years, passed multiple credibility assessments and testified before Congress. He's not a conspiracy theorist, posting on Reddit at 3 a.m. He's a decorated Navy commander with 18 years of flight experience who saw something that broke every rule of physics he was trained to understand. And he has said publicly that the technology displayed was not from this world. I struggle to parallel park. This thing could apparently defy gravity, outrun a fighter jet and vanish between dimensions. We are not operating on the same level here. The ARIEL school incident. On November 16, 1994, at the ARIEL school in Ruwa, Zimbabwe, 62 children between the ages of 6 and 12 reported seeing a silver craft land near the schoolyard during recess. Several of the children said they saw beings emerge from the object. Small figures with large eyes, dressed in dark, tight-fitting suits. Now when one kid says they saw an alien, you tell them to go play outside. When 62 kids independently draw the same thing, describe the same event with matching details and maintain their story for over 30 years, you start paying attention. Harvard psychiatrist Dr. John Mack flew to Zimbabwe to interview the children and later called it one of the most significant UFO encounters he had ever investigated. The kids were not hysterical. They weren't making things up for attention. Many of them were visibly disturbed, and some reported receiving telepathic messages about the environment and humanity's future, which is a weird thing for an 8-year-old in Zimbabwe to fabricate. Multiple follow-up documentaries have tracked these witnesses into adulthood, and their accounts have remained remarkably consistent. Now in their 30s and 40s, many of them still describe the event as the most important moment of their lives, and several become emotional when recounting it. There's no evidence of a hoax, no mass hysteria diagnosis that holds up, and no conventional explanation that accounts for 62 matching testimonies. I couldn't get 62 adults to agree on where to eat lunch, and these kids independently described the same extraterrestrial encounter with consistent detail for 3 decades. The Gimbal and Go Fast. January 2015, Navy pilots from the USS Theodore Roosevelt encountered a series of unidentified objects during training sessions off the eastern seaboard of the United States. These encounters happened almost daily for months. The pilots captured 2 key pieces of footage. The first, called GIMBAL, shows an object rotating against the wind with no visible propulsion. The second, called Go Fast, shows a small object skimming the ocean surface at extraordinary speeds with no thermal exhaust, meaning no engine, no heat signature, nothing that should be making it move. Lieutenant Ryan Graves, one of the pilots involved, later told Congress that these objects were detected on radar, infrared, and by the pilot's own eyes, a triple confirmation that rules out any equipment malfunction or optical illusion. He also testified that the encounter was so frequent that squadron members began filing hazard reports because the objects were appearing in their activity training airspace and posted a genuine collision risk. Think about that for a second. Navy pilots trained to stay calm while landing on aircraft carriers in the dark during storms were filing safety complaints because these things kept showing up and they didn't know what they were or how to avoid them. The Pentagon's Anomaly Resolution Office reviewed the footage and officially classified the objects as unexplained. No country on Earth has publicly claimed responsibility, and no technology can account for the flight characteristics observed. The Rendlesham Forest Incident. In late December 1980, US Air Force personnel stationed at RAF Woodbridge in England reported seeing strange lights descending into nearby Rendlesham Forest. Several servicemen went to investigate, expecting to find a downed aircraft. Instead, they found a small metallic craft in a clearing, roughly triangular in shape, covered in strange symbols and emitting a bright light. Staff Sergeant Jim Penningston claimed he touched the aircraft, felt a smooth, warm surface with raised markings that he later sketched in his notebook. Lieutenant Charles Halt led a second team into the forest the following night and witnessed the phenomenon firsthand. Flashing lights in the trees, a red sun-like object that broke into 5 smaller white objects, and a beam of light hitting the ground near the weapons storage area. Halt recorded his observations on an audio tape in real time, which has since been publicly released. Radiation readings taken at the landing site were recorded at 10 times the normal background level. The trees around the site showed physical damage consistent with exposure to extreme heat. The UK Ministry of Defence investigated and determined the incident posed no threat to national security, which is a very specific way of not actually answering the question. Halt later signed a notarized statement stating that he believed the US and UK governments covered up what really happened. He has maintained his position for over 40 years. This one happened next to a military base with nuclear weapons, not in someone's backyard. Not a blurry phone camera, next to a nuclear weapons storage facility, witnessed by trained military personnel, documented with radiation readings and real-time audio recording. So here's where we are. I'm not saying it's aliens. I'm not qualified to say anything. Most people can't even explain how their Wi-Fi works, and we're supposed to have an opinion on interdimensional aircraft. But what I will say is that there's definitely a normal explanation for all of this. Crowd is starting to run out of normal explanations. Whatever these things are, they're faster than our best jets, they break the laws of physics as we understand them, and they've been showing up for decades. And the smartest people on the planet with access to the best technology ever built have looked at the evidence and collectively said, we have no idea. That's either terrifying or the most exciting thing that's ever happened. Probably both. See you in the next one, unless they get here first.